Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to our VFR series. This is leg 24, and we're going to be flying today from Edinburgh to Carlisle. So kind of going Scotland and England here. So I'm trying a new overlay. Instead of FlyStudios, I saw Volanta had something, and I'm thinking that might be a little cleaner. So we're going to give that a go. Gonna, start everything up here. Gonna get our nav and strobe going. Get our heaters on. And fuel selector auto. Get that set to auto. And we're gonna wanna kind of get stuff a little bit up here, and hopefully we won't have a problem. So we'll get our starter going in ignition, and that will start the plane going there. We'll get our radio on. All right, we're gonna get our traffic, our flight plan in here. So this is where we'll get to see if things work more cleanly. 15 waypoints as we go along. So yeah, it's not filling that in the arrival. Interesting. All right, so it's simple enough. We need to get it into Volanta. All right, my bleed should be set to auto. Get the air conditioning, we'll get that going. That should start to change this. But yeah, with FlyStudios, I've got to like enter things, I've got to do some things, and so I'm just hoping that this will all work in a cleaner way at this point. All right, so we're 9 or 8, which is interesting because again, that's gonna put us below sea level, which is unlikely, but that's what we're seeing. All right, and so this is our flight plan today. So we're taking off here from Edinburgh. We're kind of flying around and heading to Carlisle. So that will be a total of 436 nautical miles is what we have in the flight plan. We're gonna, I think, take off from the appropriate runway 24 is what we're targeting. You can see our first waypoint is about 14 nautical miles out. So as always, we've got the narrative. So I've gotten no indication that they have fixed the tour tuner. So we're just going to continue on using it the way we have, where we'll just ask Sarah about things as we get there. But as I said, we have 15 waypoints on this journey that we'll be flying this week, and hopefully, you know, if we start getting close to the end of January, I'm probably gonna, you know, maybe be a little bit of a pain in the side of the SayIntentions folks. But at this point, let's lower our flaps. We're going to get rid of the parking brake. We're going to put the nav on. We're going to hit, our taxi lights. Everything is good there. All right. So, looks like we got a Ryanair. I tried to get a contract with them, but it didn't work. Not in real life, but in my pilot's life, if you've seen that. I have tried to... What are we doing? Come on. Do I not have... Oh. I think I don't have the propeller and all that, so... There we go. So, again, a little different, but, yeah, I think we're facing away, so we'd be pushed back, so we want to go here, and then out to runway 24. So I believe we can exit out through here. I could be wrong. But the narrative, you know, kind of begins pretty quick, given that we don't have much distance, so we're going to be careful there. I don't know why it's just progressing so slowly, but it is. Okay. So there we go. We have this. And then we head on out, and, you know, we'll get over to runway 24, and we'll get ready to get airborne. But we kind of parked right there to be able to do that. And as always, you know, not perfect conditions for me in real life for flying. So hopefully everything will work out well. But you know, we're gonna try and see how things will work. So, all right, so we're moving. We'll line up here by 24. So yeah, I will be trying to get something going on the pilot's life, because I'm working for an airline in China now. So, and that could turn into a longer term thing. We'll have to see. All right. All right. So we are good there. We'll turn on our landing lights. We're all set. And so if we start, it's going to tell us we're departing west and find the Kelpies, a pair of 30-foot-high horse head statues. And then we've got a pretty short run from there. I think it's about 9 nautical miles. So there, where you'll turn northwest to Stirling Castle, where several Scottish kings and queens were crowned, including Mary, Queen of Scots, in 1542, and the National Wallace Monument, dedicated to William Wallace, famously played by Mel Gibson in the movie Braveheart. So we've got that coming up very, very quickly. Okay, temperature in the cabin is going up. So these are all good things. We'll get the yaw damper going in a bit. We'll get moving. Our flaps are down. We can see that. And we'll get out here and get moving. So, looks like somebody just landed, maybe. We don't need that much runway, so we're going to try to get going. We'll see if I can do this smoother than I normally do. As far as staying online, it's got to be these gentle little pieces here. All right, so we should be able to get airborne. Little struggle. Whoa, that was nice. I think someone messed up. Wasn't me. But someone had some excitement, that's for sure. Alright. So we're going to get this here. And we're going to autopilot and arm. And then we should be good. So we're going to up. And up wheels, up flaps. And then we'll be heading west shortly. And I'm like, we shouldn't have to turn too substantially. Anyway, we'll get ourselves set where we can see some things here. But we're at 440. All right. Sarah, can you tell us about the Kelpies?
The Kelpies are two gigantic horse-head sculptures in Falkirk, standing 30 meters tall and completed in 2013. Designed by artist Andy Scott, they celebrate Scotland's horse-powered heritage, especially the working horses that once pulled barges along the nearby canals. Each Kelpie weighs over 300 tons. Talk about heavy metal. They're a favorite stop for photographers and anyone who loves a bit of modern myth, as they're named after shape-shifting water spirits from Scottish folklore.
All right. So we'll get there shortly. But yes, we should be doing pretty well here. So yeah, kind of a, I don't know, weird, really crazy star shape that we're flying today. But again, they're trying to get us to locations to see things, as you would via VFR. And so that's what we're going to enjoy here. But I've shown the whole flight, even if I go offline for certain legs, which I may. There's not a lot of really long legs, but again, this much flying could take a bit of time, and babbling on and on isn't necessarily the best thing. But certainly here to waypoint 1 and 2, we'll stay together. Just make sure, yeah, everything looks good. Just check the controls. Yeah, wheels aren't green, so we should be up. Now what I can do is, again, change that. We exceeded, but we caught it pretty fast. And then again, this will speed us up. But 5 miles, so we're not quite there yet. And then this will get us to about 220 knots typically. So we'll just complete things a little quicker, is the hope. So let's see if we can see anything. I'm going to try to not move the camera around a lot. I mean, again, it's 4 miles. We're going to turn slightly to the right. So, and they're metallic, I guess. So 3 miles here. Now we're at 218, 219, so we'll slowly creep up. We get close to 230 sometimes. So I don't know if we're going to be able to see them up here or not. But they should be here somewhere. Maybe there? I don't know. I don't know that we can really see them. But yeah, it should be somewhere in this space. So, not sure. Oh, right there. They did go under our tail, so they were there together. Two little heads, so you can go back a little bit. Alright, and now we're heading to Stirling Castle, which will be waypoint 2. And then waypoint 3, we've got to turn and head almost due east, but we'll be going a little northeast still. And now we do have some hills out there, so we will have to pay attention to our height and make sure everything works that way. I'm just trying to get all my monitoring going. Sarah, tell us everything you can about Stirling Castle. Come on, Sarah.
Stirling Castle is one of Scotland's grandest castles, perched atop Castle Hill and dating back to at least the early 12th century, though most of what we see today was built in the 15th and 16th centuries. It was the childhood home of Mary, Queen of Scots, and has witnessed several famous sieges and royal coronations. The castle played a key role in the Wars of Scottish Independence, especially during the Battle of Stirling Bridge in 1297, where William Wallace scored a major victory. Its architecture is a blend of defensive fortifications and Renaissance elegance, with the Great Hall and Royal Palace being standout features.
I believe it's there. So we'll zoom in a bit so we can get a little closer view here. But yeah, that would be it up there on the hill. That is pretty cool. Always nice to see things, and now we've got a big sweeping turn to the right. Right, so at this point, waypoint 3 where we're headed is turn northeast to the coast and the ancient university town of St. Andrews. Then we're going to turn northwest and will take us over the Old Course, the oldest golf course in the world. Golf was invented in Scotland as a pastime by sheep herders and was first played on the links at St. Andrews in the early 15th century. Today, the Royal and Ancient Golf Club is a frequent host of the British Open Golf Tournament and the site of the World Golf Museum. And again, those two are relatively close together, but they are far enough apart that, we can have them in the tour tuner so that when that does work, you should have all those waypoints and it should hopefully trigger appropriately. But I'm going to, again, let you look out the window here, and I am going to mute myself and be back when we're a little bit closer.
Since we're flying near Balmoral Park airstrip, let me tell you about this unique little spot. Balmoral Park is known for its history as a former RAF airfield during World War II, where it served as a satellite station for training pilots. Later, it became famous for hosting the Tea in the Park Music Festival, which drew huge crowds and some of the biggest names in music to this quiet corner of Scotland. Aviation enthusiasts love spotting the remnants of the old runways and hangars, which are still visible from above. It's a quirky mix of aviation history and pop culture, all wrapped up in the Scottish countryside.
All right, so we're coming up on St. Andrews here. So yeah, a lot of the legs I think are similar in length. Really, after this quick set here, I think we are then, on very similar legs. So 0.5, waypoint 5 is pretty quick, but then after that, I think we're talking about 20 to 40 nautical miles for each leg. Now the final leg from 14 to 15 is 73, so that's one of our longest ones, but we'll see how it goes. But obviously the overall distance is not not that close. Sarah, please tell us about the town of St. Andrews that we're approaching.
St. Andrews is famous for its ancient university, founded in 1413, and for being the home of golf, with the old course dating back to the 15th century. It's also where Prince William met Kate Middleton while studying at the university.
Well, there you go. Alright, so it's there, and I assume that is the course right there, although I thought it was on the coastline, across the water, but according to the waypoint, so maybe there's another golf course there, but either way, pretty nice. 2.7, yeah, because it looks like maybe there's something over here. We'll see how close it gets with the next point that we have. So yeah, not quite sure because yeah, it looks like you know, the bar is working a little bit, but let's see. So yeah, because it's 10 miles away, so unless that really is it, because that looks like the building, but I didn't think, like, our next waypoint is 10 miles away, but I didn't think it was, I thought it was the golf course. That's how I have it labeled, but it may not be. So maybe I will have to resolve that, but that's partially why we fly these, so that we can determine and, you know, experience it and see. But, alright, so we've got an airport there, so obviously if you're flying in and doing things, yeah, but I'm curious because it does look like, I think the, you know, the black line underneath on the Volanta thing, it's like showing our trip is halfway done, but the airport's actually behind us, so I'm just not sure it's going to be extremely helpful. Because, yeah, this also isn't giving us distance. It's just using that bar. So I do like it. You guys will need to let me know, though. Is it working for you? Or did you prefer FlyStudios, if anyone's watching this? And, you know, ultimately, I'm sure I'll have to decide, because I don't know that I've had any comments on these videos. I know they're getting some viewers. I don't know how long. None of the videos on YouTube tend to get super long views, so it's always hard. But let's see, we're 4 miles away. Yeah, see, this doesn't look like, so maybe it's just the way it gives us the detail, because now it's saying continue across the Firth of Tay to Dundee, and then we're going to turn north to Glamis Castle, a 14th century castle, and the late Queen Mother's childhood home. So that would be, you know, where we end up. But, yeah, because this, well, no. I mean, there's a golf course there, but St. Andrews doesn't have trees, so that had to be it. So this must be Dundee, and now we're turning a little bit north to the castle. And that won't be very far. So we are, what? Yeah, 8 nautical miles from there. Sarah, tell us about Dundee.
Dundee is a city on the east coast of Scotland, known for its historic shipbuilding, the RRS Discovery, which took Scott and Shackleton to Antarctica, and for being the birthplace of Marmalade and the Beano comic. It's also home to the striking V&A Dundee Museum, designed by Kengo Kuma. The city has a long history in textiles, especially jute, and was once nicknamed Judeopolis. Dundee's waterfront has been transformed in recent years, making it a popular spot for both locals and visitors.
Right. Sarah, tell us about Glamis Castle.
Glamis Castle is a stunning Scottish castle, with roots dating back to the 14th century, though much of what you see today was built in the 17th century. Its It's famously known as the childhood home of the Queen Mother and the legendary setting for Shakespeare's Macbeth. Though, spoiler alert, Macbeth himself never actually lived there. The castle is packed with stories of ghosts, secret rooms, and royal intrigue. People love visiting for its grand architecture, beautiful gardens, and the air of mystery that seems to hang over the place.
Right, so I'm assuming it's there, yep. So yeah, I always wonder, like, are all these lands part of the castle grounds, and that's how they... I mean, because it does look like there's paths and a little bit there, so... And the Queen Mother, I assume, is not Queen Elizabeth herself, it's her mother or something, but I don't know. Right, so now we have 26 miles. Once I let you know where we're headed, we'll get quiet again. So there we go then. It's on to Balmoral Castle, traditional summer home to the British royal family.
Since we're in the Angus region of Scotland, let me tell you about the River South Esk. This river winds its way through the countryside, eventually reaching the North Sea at Montrose. It's famous for salmon fishing, and in the spring and autumn, you might spot anglers lining its banks, hoping for a big catch. The river has shaped the landscape here for thousands of years, carving out valleys and supporting local wildlife.
Alright, we are back here. So as you probably saw, I raised myself up a little bit. I might need to do it more, but no, it doesn't look like... I mean, there are some hills that are higher that are red, which, you know, could be something we'd collide with. Sarah, please tell us about Balmoral Castle.
Balmoral Castle is a royal residence in Aberdeenshire, Scotland, purchased by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in 1852. The current castle was completed in 1856, replacing an older structure on the estate. It's still a favorite summer retreat for the British royal family, and the estate covers about 50,000 acres, plenty of room for royal picnics, and the occasional corgi chase. The architecture is a classic example of Scottish baronial style, with turrets and towers that look straight out of a fairy tale.
Alright, so the next thing, a few miles to the southwest, brings us to Blair Castle, which dates back to 1269 and was the seat of the ancient kings of Atholl, and my ancestors. Not mine, but the guy who did the, this whole set of flight plans. So, like I said, it's all showing up as green, so that should be more than 1,500 miles, or 1,500 feet of clearance here. But, again, 20-some miles, so we'll let things go for a little bit again.
At our 2 o'clock, about 5 kilometers out, you'll spot the old Bridge of Dee. This stone bridge dates back to the early 18th century and was once a vital crossing point over the River Dee for travelers and livestock heading through the Highlands. Its classic stone arches have weathered centuries of Scottish weather. No easy feat. Local legend has it that the bridge is haunted by a bagpiper who vanished while crossing during a storm. From above, you can really appreciate the way the bridge blends into the landscape, almost as if it grew there naturally.
Alright, so I'm kind of watching things. It looks like the black is now receding in the blue, so it might be okay, because I was really starting to think, like, I don't know that I like this Volanta thing for this series. I'm just not sure that this is going to work the best, and I'm still hesitant. So I may do the next leg again with FlyStudios, and maybe I save this to give a shot just in an airliner series or something, because I think that's what this is mainly built for, and this GA stuff is, yeah, it's just very confusing to it. I mean, yeah, because I'm like, initially when I was looking at it 10 miles ago, I'm like, it's showing like the trip is nearly done, and yeah, we're heading close, and you know, it had something, it was asking me in the Volanta interface about if we had a diversion. I also have tried to pull in the flight. Oh goodness, that got really, really close. I mean, there's nothing showing up red. That's what I don't understand. Like, the red ones are back there. Yeah, that's just seemed really, really close. But yet, there's nothing on my terrain map. Alright, well, we are getting close here, so let's make sure that we've got information for Blair Castle. Sarah, tell us about Blair Castle.
Blair Castle is a striking white castle dating back to the 13th century, and it's been home to the
White,
Dukes of
huh?
Atholl for centuries. It's the only place in Europe where a private army, the Atholl Highlanders, is still legally allowed. The castle has hosted everyone from Mary, Queen of Scots, to Queen Victoria, and its rooms are filled with fascinating artifacts, including weapons, trophies, and even a ballroom with 175 pairs of antlers.
Maybe?
The gardens are just as impressive, featuring a Hercules garden and a ruined kirk.
Probably there. Because, yeah, this looks like just giant cemeteries, but yeah, that's probably the castle there. Crazy. Okay, so now we have over 40 miles. So again, we're just gonna turn and go. So now we head north to the city of Inverness. And then it's going to continue in the sentence after that, but since these are now longer legs, we're just going to let it go. Again, I'm going to be pulling away, so I'm going to be curious if that bar is still continuing to recede, which it should. See, the bar's going, like, in the opposite direction. Now it's filling in again. But the thing I don't like here is it doesn't give you any actual indicator of how far away we are. So you're just guessing by the bar, and at this point, I think this bar is useless to you. So it doesn't really tell you anything. So I think we're going to go back to FlyStudios. Alright, so I've gone ahead and flipped this. Now, we'll have to see, but at least you have the distance to go, 127 nautical miles. Now it went to 128. So you can tell that we're doing things. So yes, I think for a series like this where we're not just flying, I think this is a better option. I like the other one just is clean, because again, like having the call sign here, the rest of it's useful, vertical speed and all that. And the aircraft type, I don't know. But like I said, I don't know that there's ways to get rid of these that I'm capable of executing. So I haven't done that. And, but anyway. We've made the change because it was driving me nuts. I'm like, this is really unhelpful.
Since there are no major landmarks directly beneath us, let me tell you about the closest airfield, Feshy Bridge Glider Field. This spot is a favorite among gliding enthusiasts thanks to the surrounding Cairngorm Mountains that create perfect updrafts for soaring. The airfield has been in use since the mid-20th century and is well known for hosting gliding competitions. Pilots from all over the UK come here to ride the thermals and enjoy breathtaking views of the Scottish Highlands.
So yeah, I had figured I'd just give you a view of the countryside while she was giving us that information. But yeah, we'll just keep going and we'll be there in about 5 minutes.
Since there aren't any major landmarks directly beneath us, let me tell you about Inverness, the city we're approaching. Inverness is often called the gateway to the Highlands and sits at the mouth of the River Ness. The city is famous for its castle, which overlooks the river and dates back to the 19th century, though earlier fortifications stood here for centuries. Inverness is also the starting point for many seeking out the legendary Loch Ness monster. Yes, Nessie fever is real here. Aviation-wise, Inverness Airport opened in 1947 and played a key role during World War II as an RAF base.
All right, so she gave us some info. She also told us about where we're headed next, which sometimes happens inadvertently. But yes, we are then going to then turn southwest and fly over Loch Ness. Keep an eye out for Nessie, the famous Loch Ness monster, along the way. There is at least one download available that will add her to the scenery. I don't have that. Not intentionally. Maybe I do, but... So, but anyway. I don't know that she's going to tell us anything else, but we'll ask. Can you please tell us about Inverness?
Inverness is often called the gateway to the Highlands, famous for its castle overlooking the River Ness, and it's the starting point for many Loch Ness monster adventures.
Right, so basically exactly what she told us. So, oh, it's interesting. It's like filling in water. Yeah, it's like... It's a little late in filling in some of the land. We just had some stuff there, but... Okay. So, but 24 miles to Loch Ness, so as we get closer, but yeah, now you can see distance to go is 160. I believe this is the northern point. Yes, we're gonna kind of go south and then go back, but yes, we're headed to waypoint 9. So that's what I wanted to look at. And we're going to then continue west, but go kind of a little northwest, but this is as far north as we'll be. That doesn't mean we won't be further away from the airport, though. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. But we've got a ways, and yeah, there's really no shorter legs. I mean, they're probably all 20 to 30, if not more, miles long. And again, between waypoint 14 and 15, we're going to have our longest leg as we head into Carlisle, and that'll be 73. But, we get to spend a good time here in Scotland. I think we just cross the border and get back into England when we get to Carlisle. So, anyway, I will see you in a little bit.
At our 12 o'clock, just a bit ahead, you can spot the legendary Loch Ness stretching out beneath us. This freshwater loch is one of the largest and deepest in Scotland, reaching depths of over 230 meters, 755 feet. It's world famous for the tales of Nessie, the Loch Ness monster, which first made headlines in 1933. So keep your cameras ready just in case. The loch was formed during the last ice age, and its dark, peaty waters make it perfect for hiding mythical creatures. Aside from monster hunting, it's a stunning sight from above, with Urquhart Castle ruins perched on its banks and the Caledonian Canal connecting it to the rest of the Great Glen.
So we got the info for that, for Loch Ness, so hopefully that was interesting. We're then going to turn northwest and head to the iconic Eilean Donan Castle on the shores of Loch Ness. So we'll see how far away that is. But yeah, pretty interesting. Again, I'm going to stay up here because you can see there's still hills over there that have some height. Definitely don't want to, have a problem here. This isn't a super sharp turn, so we should be leveling out pretty soon, I would think. But yeah, just keeping an eye on the distance to go. So it did decrease. I'm assuming it's going to increase a little bit here as we fly this way, but you can see we've got 27 miles. I'll probably be peaking as we get closer to those hills, mountains, whatever you want to call it, the Scottish Highlands, and make sure that we're not in any danger as we get closer.
Since we're in the Western Highlands, let me tell you about the village of Kyle of Loch. This small town is famous as the gateway to the Isle of Skye, thanks to the Skye Bridge that connects the mainland to the island. The area has been a key crossing point for centuries, with ferries running long before the bridge was built in 1995. From the air, you can spot the dramatic coastline and the start of the railway line that winds its way through some of Scotland's most stunning scenery.
Right, so we are getting close here. Didn't feel, nothing was worrying me. I'm always a little bit concerned, like, hey, am I not seeing something out the other side of the plane? But, yeah, it looks like we're in good shape here. Again, I see we're up to 164 nautical miles, but the rest of this should, for the most part now, keep getting us a little bit closer. So we will be getting there, once we make the turn. Sarah, please tell us about Eilean Donan Castle on the shores of Loch Ness. See if I said that right. Aha! Wow. That is cool.
Eilean Donan Castle sits at the meeting point of three sea lochs, Duich, Long, and Alsh, and dates back to the 13th century. It's one of Scotland's most photographed castles, rebuilt in the early 20th century after being destroyed during the Jacobite Risings. The castle has appeared in films like Highlander and James Bond's The World Is Not Enough. Legend says it was once home to a clan of Spanish soldiers who helped defend it.
All right, and here, where we're going, is then south to the Glenfinnan Viaduct. Now, I assume this might be related to the viaduct, so I'll just continue. Try to imagine the Hogwarts Express steaming across the railway bridge as you turn southeast over the Scottish Highlands. This is Harry Potter country, and it's easy to imagine Hogwarts perched atop one of the mountaintops at the end of any of the numerous small lochs in the area. So yeah, this is pretty stunning country up here. There's a lot going on. Again, I assume we're... Man, that looks like we're barely passing over, but somehow the terrain... I don't understand how the terrain thing isn't showing us stuff. It's almost like it's not working really well. But 7 miles, so somewhere in here we're gonna have this viaduct. So good distance, about 6 miles still. So probably maybe over the next rise. But I think we're okay here at the height we're at. So, you know, these aren't super tall. They're 3,500 feet. You know, I've got taller peaks by me. You know, and I wouldn't say we're in super big mountains either, but... Right, so we are close enough. Tell us about Glenfinnan Viaduct.
Since we're flying over the Northwest Highlands, let me tell you about Ben Nevis, which is the tallest mountain in the British Isles.
I'm
Standing
thinking
at
it's that.
1,345 meters, 4,413 feet. It's a favorite challenge for hikers and climbers, and on a clear day, you can spot its summit from miles away, even from up here. The mountain was once an active volcano, but don't worry, it hasn't erupted in millions of years.
So yeah,
in fact,
that's
the summit is
definitely
actually
it.
the collapsed dome of the ancient volcano. The
See.
Glenfinnan Viaduct is a stunning railway bridge built in 1901, famous for its 21 arches and its appearance in the Harry Potter films as the route of the Hogwarts Express.
Okay, so there you go. So now, we talked about that. Turn southwest at Glen Falloch toward Mount Stuart House, a 19th century mansion by the Firth of Clyde. So yeah, so we're actually going to go to Glen Falloch is where we're going now, nearly 40 miles away. Then we're going to turn and go to that Mount Stuart house. So got a little far apart. I think I have it right in the tour if you use it off the tour tuner. Again, once it's functional, but so we will, again, just step away and enjoy the views here in northern Scotland. So it looks like we're going to turn a little bit, which is good, because I think that gets us away from some of the bigger mountains. And let's just make sure I'm not seeing anything super concerning. I am not, so I think we're okay. Back to you in a bit.
we're in the wilds of the Western Highlands, let me tell you about the town of Fort William. This town is known as the outdoor capital of the UK and is a popular base for hikers and climbers heading up Ben Nevis, the tallest mountain in Britain. Fort William was established as a garrison in the 17th century to help control the Highlands, and the original fort was named after William of Orange. The town sits at the head of Loch Ness, and from the air, you can spot its waterfront and the Caledonian Canal snaking through. It's also the starting point of the West Highland Way, a famous long-distance walking route.
Alright, so we're getting close here. So, I don't know that I'm going to necessarily have her go ahead and say anything about Glenfinnan, because I don't think it's anything specific. I think it's just a location that we're able to go to. But there are definitely some mountains here that could pose some problems. Yeah, the terrain thing is really confusing me, because I'm surprised these are not showing up, because, like, clearly, I mean, it may not be quite higher. Like, yeah, we might cross that, but just barely. So yeah, I think we're 4 miles, so I don't know if the glens are like these bigger broad areas. I'm guessing. And then we're going to turn, as you can see, to the right, so we're going to go that way. So again, there's some potential peaks, but then we're going to the edge, and I think we're out of the Highlands then. but we're going to go ahead
Since there
and
aren't any major landmarks
let it
directly
turn and
beneath
let
us,
her talk.
Let me tell you about the town of Callander, which is nestled at the eastern gateway to the Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park. Callander is often called the gateway to the Highlands and has been a popular stop for travelers heading north for centuries. The town sits along the River Teith, and from above, you can spot its charming stone buildings and the winding river cutting through the landscape. In the 19th century, Callander became famous as a health resort, drawing visitors for its fresh air and scenic beauty. It's also known for its connection to Rob Roy MacGregor, the famous Scottish outlaw who roamed these hills. our 12 o'clock, just beyond the town of Donan, you'll spot the Firth of Clyde stretching out beneath us. This vast estuary has been a crucial waterway for centuries, serving as a gateway for ships heading to Glasgow and beyond. During World War II, the Firth of Clyde was a major assembly point for Allied convoys, and you can still see remnants of old piers and naval installations along the shoreline. The waters are dotted with islands, and if you look closely, you might even spot the occasional submarine or ferry making its way across.
Alright, we're getting close. The next waypoint's not too far away, so you can see it there, but then we have the long 73 nautical mile movement, and so this again is, what is it, Mount Stuart House. So, yeah, well, but the Firth of Clyde, they talked about that. We said it was a 19th century mansion by the Firth of Clyde. So get a little closer, because I'm guessing this isn't anything massive, you know, major, and she'll get through it pretty quickly. But at this point, it looks like we're down to 93 miles. Now, I do see it's not, probably because we didn't start, it's not giving us any bar that we're following here. Can you please tell us about Mount Stuart House? I don't know if it's there or... guessing there or there. Sarah, can you please tell us about Mount Stuart House?
Mount Stuart House is a spectacular Victorian Gothic mansion on the Isle of Bute, completed in 1879 for the 3rd Marquess of Bute, and is famous for its lavish interiors, technological innovations for its time, like being one of the first homes in the world to have a heated indoor swimming pool and electric lighting, and its beautiful gardens.
Alright, well, there we go. That's the kind of stuff we want to see. So then we have head east to Glasgow. Now he's got his Glasgow with a C. I wonder if that's the real spelling, but we just call it Glasgow, because that's kind of maybe how you'd say it anyway. But famous port on the River Clyde and the largest city in Scotland. So that is where we are going in 23
King
miles.
6 Romeo Bravo, contact Scottish Info on 119.875.
Right, well that's not me.
Scottish Info on 119.875. King Air 6 Romeo Bravo.
Alright, so we're gonna head on down here, get ourselves lower, because at this point we're out of the Highlands, and I don't expect anything, and then we're not trying to land from way up here. We probably are, whoops, we're probably going to get ourselves actually to 2,000 feet. And that will give us think, a pretty good position to land, because I don't think we're going to have very far from the airport once we run the next leg. But we'll have this get down there, and we'll be back in a bit. Alright, so there we are. Sarah, what can you tell us about Glasgow?
At our 10 o'clock, about 2 kilometers out, you'll spot Glasgow Airport. Opened in 1966, it's one of Scotland's busiest airports and a major gateway for travelers heading to and from the Highlands and Islands. The airport has seen everything from Concorde visits to the arrival of the first jumbo jets in Scotland. During the Cold War, it even hosted military aircraft on standby. From above, you can see its long runways and the bustling terminal, a reminder of just how connected Scotland is to the rest of the world. Glasgow is Scotland's largest city, known for its Victorian and Art Nouveau architecture, its shipbuilding history along the River Clyde, and its vibrant music and art scene.
Yeah, not sure. Oh, okay. So the airport's there. I'm kind of on the outskirts. And we'll be getting there pretty shortly, but yeah, a little bit of river, and then a pretty sharp turn, and you can see 73.7. So there we go. Then it's on to the southeast in the English city of Carlisle, just south of the border with Scotland, and a landing at Carlisle Airport. So that will get us there. And we're on our last leg here. You can see it looks pretty open. I'm assuming we're kind of lined up there. Now we suddenly have some terrain, but either way, we are heading that way. It'll take a little bit of time to cover that distance in this plane, but as we get closer, we're going to slow down, and we're going to get ready for landing and head on in, and maybe have her just give us a little info on Carlisle if she doesn't do it before we get there.
Since there aren't any major landmarks directly beneath us, let me tell you about the closest city, East Kilbride. This town started as a small village but was transformed into Scotland's first designated new town in 1947 to help with post-war housing shortages. It's now known for its sprawling parks and green spaces, which you can spot from above. East Kilbride also has a quirky claim to fame. It's home to the National Museum of Rural Life, where you can find everything from vintage tractors to Highland cows. Since there aren't any major landmarks directly beneath us, let me tell you about the closest town, Peebles. This charming Scottish borders town sits along the River Tweed and is known for its picturesque high street and historic bridges. Peebles has been a favorite getaway for artists and writers since the Victorian era, and its annual arts festival draws visitors from all over. The town's roots go back to the 12th century, and you can still spot remnants of its medieval past, including the Old Market Cross. From above, you might notice the patchwork of parks and gardens that make Peebles such a green and inviting spot. Since there aren't any major landmarks directly beneath us, let me tell you about the closest town, Langholm. Langholm is known as the Muckle Toon and sits on the River Esk. It was founded in the 16th century as a border stronghold and has a long tradition of textile production. The town is also famous for being the birthplace of Thomas Telford, one of Britain's greatest civil engineers. From above, you can spot the patchwork of fields and the winding river that make this area so scenic.
Alright, so we are getting close enough here that we are going to get this down here so that we can start to slow down. Because, yeah, we're just 10 miles away. Probably going to zoom in here a bit so that I can get a better view of just the runway on my navigraph and all that. And tells me 4 runways, so what have we got? 1, 19, 6, and 24. So we're going to be coming in from the side. So I think we're probably going to try to land on 06. Oh, and that's, yeah, the other runway is only 3,000 feet long, so I'm thinking that might be a grass strip or something. So yeah, we're not getting to the mountains there, but we will put this down here, and again we will go here, and we will bring ourselves down, back off, and start slowing down a lot. So let's see, get below. Not below 200 yet, because, yeah, and we're going to be 5 nautical miles out when we get there. Sorry, got my headset wire stuck under my wheel. That would be bad. So it's out that way. In theory, it should turn me in. And yes, it'll bring me in at 60 degrees. Sarah, tell us about Carlisle.
Carlisle is a historic city in northwest England, known for its impressive medieval castle built in the 12th century. Its role as a Roman settlement called Lugavalium, and its location near the western end of Hadrian's Wall.
Interesting. Alright, 2 miles. But yeah, we are moving along. I mean, in theory, I should be down.
Paris, November 410 Zulu Papa.
Alright, we're going to turn that off.
Flight following to...
Because she's not going to tell us anything else. And that way we won't have him confused, Mr. Confused Airman on there. Alright, so we're going to lower the wheels. Because again, 5 miles, especially at this speed, is not going to be much. There it is. Easy enough. Alright. So we are going to get off of autopilot, and we are just kind of going to fall to idle right now. Let me make sure I'm lined up on my view. And I should put up my landing monitor. That would help. Alright. So I think we're doing okay there. We're kind of at low flaps. So we're going to lower that, and that's going to slow us down, but also give us more lift. Okay, wheels are definitely down. All right. So we're going to want to add some power. Because, yeah, we're too low right now, so. Feel like I'm kind of not where I want to be yet. I think we're getting close there. Get our flaps full down. So we're obviously floating a bit as that starts to stabilize. There we go. We don't want to go this slow, so that, I assume, that's typically the outer marker sound. I'm surprised we're still low. It seems... Alright, well, we may ignore the pappies because this clearly is a little bit different here. So we'll flare. That was one of my better landings for sure in a long time. Thinking we just need to turn around. And we'll just get back there and exit. Get our flaps up. Turn out of here. And it just looks like an airport that doesn't have a lot in it. I mean, obviously there's guys, girls, whatever, standing right there, but not seeing a whole lot of buildings. So we're just gonna park it. There we are. Set the brake. And let's get everything down. Thought I was all the way down. That's interesting. But we'll get ourselves down the low idle. Get to cut off. Kind of hear it winding down. And then we'll get that done. And that will definitely bring us down to a close. So it's a little better to look outside, but yeah, so there's some buildings over there. Oh, there's more stuff here than I thought. Right, it looked pretty empty. There's a tower. It's a towered airport, I guess. But, because, yeah, that may be... I think that's the short runway right there that we just crossed. I didn't even realize it. So that's the 3,000 square foot runway. But we've got another leg. This has a milestone in that we're officially 10% now. I think I'm like sitting... Yeah, that was like her thing. I'm like sitting on my co-pilot. She probably didn't like that. So let's get back in our seat, but I was trying to get a view over here. But yeah, we're at 10% of this world tour. It was leg 24. There's 237 legs, so we are officially past 10% now. So hopefully you're enjoying it. If you haven't been with me from the beginning, go back and enjoy the flights. There's definitely fun stuff. You know, there's a couple things as we're crossing the Atlantic that are just 800 miles over the water, mainly. So maybe those aren't that exciting. But otherwise, there's always something to see. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please consider doing that. And I will see you next time.